Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. So, guys, I really appreciate for the returning subscribers and viewers for the incredible support that you are according to this channel. Also, don't forget to check out our membership packs and consider to join our membership today for exclusive benefits. So, guys, in this video, I want us to see white women that are coming out to spill some beans on how. There is a great fear among the white people for the black Americans and black people's progress. And these videos, they have, started a council forms, even bringing back some topics about the incarcerations of the black people. So, guys, let's get to listen to them, and then I'll be back with a deeper dive and commentary on this whole topic.
White people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, like how much did white Americans actually do in all of that time? If we are to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by like nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And like, to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you like totally deny, the existence of black people for whom success is like second nature when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it. I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest black excellence? Like, what will help you? And for that, I would suggest like a lot of therapy, like a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye.
Every time black Americans take a step forward in this country, white supremacists throw a tantrum. We call it progress. They call it a threat. And every era of advancement, every hard-won inch toward equality, has been met with a violent wave of backlash. So, let's talk about it. Donald Trump recently reposted a meme on Truth Social blaming Barack and Michelle Obama for worsening racism, saying they set America back 100 years. This, coming from a man whose entire public life has been steeped in racism, from refusing to rent apartments to black tenants in the 1970s, to calling for the death penalty for the Central Park Five, black and brown teenage boys at the time, even after they were proven innocent, to spreading the racist birther lie that President Obama wasn't born in America. And now, in 2025, he's just proving that the playbook never changed, only the players did. When enslaved people were freed, what came next? Reconstruction. Black men winning elections, opening schools, building communities. And after that, the Ku Klux Klan, voter suppression, lynching campaigns, and the violent overthrow of black-led governments across the South. Progress met with terror. I did make a video on Reconstruction a while back, so go check it out. When black veterans came home from World War I in uniform, having fought for democracy abroad, white mobs murdered them for daring to expect democracy at home. That became known as the Red Summer of 1919. In one of the most haunting examples, a black soldier named Wilbur Little was lynched in Georgia for refusing to take off his army uniform after stepping off the train that brought him home from war. He had risked his life for a country that still refused to see him as a man. And he wasn't the only one. Across the nation, white mobs attacked black veterans simply for wearing their uniforms in public, because those uniforms symbolized equality. And then there's Tulsa. When black prosperity blossomed in Tulsa's Greenwood district, a thriving neighborhood known as Black Wall Street, the backlash was swift and brutal. Greenwood wasn't just wealthy, it was successful on its own terms. Black doctors, lawyers, barbershops, grocery stores, newspapers, tailors, hotels. and a fully functioning economy built by black families who were shut out of white society. Some residents were millionaires in today's dollars, all of it built just 50 years after slavery was abolished. Proof that black excellence could flourish when given even a sliver of space. And that's exactly why white supremacists burned it all down. In 1921, after a false accusation against a black teenager, white mobs, many deputized by local police, stormed Greenwood. They looted homes, they set businesses on fire. Eyewitnesses reported private planes dropping incendiary bombs. Black residents were shot in the street or dragged from their homes. By the time it ended, over 35 square blocks were destroyed. Up to 300 black men, women, and children were killed. More than 10,000 black residents were left homeless overnight, and not a single white rioter was ever held accountable. Greenwood wasn't destroyed because of crime or chaos or uprisings. It was destroyed because white supremacists couldn't tolerate the sight of black wealth, black self-sufficiency, and black dignity thriving without white control. That's the pattern, and you see it again in the 1960s. After the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act finally outlawed segregation and protected black voting rights in 1965, white politicians had a problem. They could no longer legally defend segregation. They could no longer say, we don't want black people in our schools, or we don't want black people voting. So they rebranded their racism with new language. They called it law and order. Law and order wasn't about crime. It was a political weapon designed to frame black Americans as dangerous, disruptive, and undeserving without ever mentioning race. Barry Goldwater hinted at it in 1964. Richard Nixon perfected it in 1968. His advisors admitted on tape that law and order was designed to attract racist voters without sounding racist. And the policy fallout was devastating. Mass incarceration, the war on drugs, over-policing black neighborhoods, mandatory minimums, stop and frisk, all justified by coded language white voters found comforting. Ronald Reagan doubled down with states' rights and the racist welfare queen myth. Bill Clinton expanded the prison industrial complex even further, and Donald Trump wrapped it all in Make America Great Again, a slogan rooted in turning back the clock on civil rights. Same playbook, same backlash, same message. Black progress is the threat. White grievance is the answer. So when Trump reposts a meme claiming the Obamas made racism worse, understand what he's really saying. At the sight of a black family in the White House, educated, poised, and powerful, was unbearable for people whose identity depends on feeling superior. Obama didn't make America racist. He revealed how deeply racism still runs. Trump is the backlash to it, the embodiment of everything this country refuses to face about itself. This is unfinished history. The same forces that once burned Greenwood, that fought to keep schools segregated, that silenced civil rights leaders, they never disappeared. They just put on suits and ran for office. If we want this cycle to end, white Americans have to stop pretending racism lives in the past. We have to face it in our laws, in our classrooms, in our neighborhoods, and in ourselves. Because silence is what keeps the system alive, and now is not the time for silence. Black Americans shouldn't have to prove their humanity again and again, while those who spread hate are rewarded with power. And yet here we are, a nation still built on denial, still terrified of accountability, still repeating the same cycle because too many white Americans would rather cling to denial than face the truth. But history doesn't move on its own. We do. So the question isn't whether the backlash will fade, it's whether we'll finally have the courage to end it, to confront what's right in front of us, to make sure this time progress doesn't have to start over again.
Why do white people
Now, a wave have started with some few clips, then a few more, and suddenly it cannot be ignored. So across the social media, videos begin to surface featuring white women speaking candidly and sometimes emotionally about perception that has long existed beneath the surface. And that's that white communities feel uneasy, even fearful about the visible progress and success of black individuals. The tone of these videos varies. Some are reflective, others are direct. A few are controversial, but together, guys, they form something larger than isolated opinions. They form a conversation that is now impossible to ignore. And what makes this moment striking isn't just what is being said, but who is saying it. These voices are not coming from traditional activists or public figures alone. They are coming from everyday people, content creators, influencers, and ordinary users stepping into complex and sensitive spaces. And their message often centers around a belief that historical systems of inequality still shape modern perceptions, and that progress by Black individuals can sometimes be viewed consciously or unconsciously as a threat rather than a shared advancement. But guys, as these videos gain traction, they also spark pushback. Critics argue that such claims can be overly generalized, painting entire communities with a broad brush and deepening division rather than fostering understanding. And others are questioning whether viral content simplifies deeply complex social dynamics into soundbites designed more for engagement than for meaningful dialogue. And guys, there is also the broader context of one that cannot be ignored, and the discussion inevitably intersects with the reality of disproportionately high incarceration rates among Black populations, particularly in countries like the United States. For many, these statistics is not just a number; it is seen as part of a larger systemic issue involving socio-economic inequality, access to education, policing practices, and historical disadvantage. And guys, supporters of the viral message argued that these incarceration disparities are evident of structural imbalances, factors that continue to shape opportunities and outcomes today. They point out that while success stories are rising and visibility is increasing, barriers still exist, and perceptions of Black progress can't be separated from systems that have historically limited it. On the other hand, guys, some voices caution against linking fear narratives too directly with incarceration statistics, and they argue that crime rates, policy decisions, and social challenges are influenced by multiple variables and economic conditions, community investment, and governance, and not solely racial perception. So now, guys, the internet finds itself at crossroads. What began as a series of viral videos has evolved into wider conversation about perception, history, and progress. It raises difficult questions. Is society fully comfortable with change when it challenges long-standing hierarchies? A viral platform, guys, helping uncover truth or amplifying division? And most importantly, how do we move forward from here? Because, guys, beyond the views, the likes, and comments, this is no longer just content. It is a reflection of deeper tension and an opportunity, if approached carefully, for honest dialogue. And perhaps that's the real story, not just what's being said. But, guys, what it reveals about where we are and where we still need to go. So, guys, that is how these some of the people in the comment sections for these videos have had to say. There are people that believe that indeed these issues have have existed and continue to exist, but others are out of the opinion that there is still progress in how racial disparities have been dealt with by the governments that have come in, such as the Obama government and also the Donald Trump government. But guys, the big question is, do the white people still fear Black progress? So guys, do let me know what you think about this whole topic and debate on the comment section. See you in the next episode.